So call to order the Kingston Springs Regional Planning Commission meeting for January 10th. Roll call. Keith Allgood. Present. Donna Boggs, absent. Tony Campbell.
Here.
Tom Cullen.
Here.
Tony Gross.
Here.
Brian McCain.
Here.
Mike Patton, that's me. Glenn. Here. Chuck Slater.
Here.
Okay, non-voting staff, Sharon Armstrong.
Present.
John Lawless.
Here.
Jennifer No.
Here.
All right, so we have a quorum, and now the meeting belongs to the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have elections for the chair, vice chair, and secretary this evening. I'll take
Nominate Mr. Patton for chair. Second.
Aye.
Chuck got that one.
Any other nominations for chair?
I move that the nomination cease. We elected by acclamation. Second.
Aye.
You okay with acclamation?
Still going to do a roll call vote.
Does that work, Jennifer?
We'll still do a
Still
roll
going to do a roll
call.
call vote. Just to be official.
Keith Allgood.
What do you want to say? Aye or yes or?
Either works.
Tony Campbell.
Yes.
Donna Boggs is absent. Tom Cullen.
Yes.
Tony Gross.
Yes.
Brian McCain.
Yes.
Mike Patton.
Yes.
Glenn Remick.
Yes.
Chuck Slater.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Patton. Chair Patton. Meeting
Okay,
back over to you.
all right, thank you very much. And so now, we need to elect a vice chair.
I nominate Tony Campbell.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for a vice chair? Okay, so we need to roll call that vote. All right.
Cease nominations.
Cease nominations, and thank you, Keith. Appreciate that.
Yes.
So, Keith Allgood,
Yes.
Tony Campbell,
Yes.
Tom Cullen,
Yes.
Tony Gross,
Yes.
Brian McCain,
Yes.
Mike Patton, yes, Glenn Remick,
Yes.
Chuck Slater.
Yes.
So we have a vice chair. Welcome back, Tony. And now we need nominations for secretary.
I nominate Chuck Slater. I think that's who it is. Second.
Okay, do we have any other nominations for a secretary? Close the floor to nominations. Have a roll call vote. Keith Allgood?
Yes.
Tony Campbell?
Yes.
Tom Cullen?
Yes.
Tony Gross?
Yes.
Brian McCain?
Yes.
Mike Patton, yes. Glenn Remick?
Yes.
And Chuck Slater.
Okay.
All right. That goes with the hat.
That's close.
Now you have the, is there anything else on that, John? We're good?
No, sir.
All right, thank you. You have the Planning Commission meeting minutes in front of you from November the 8th.
I move that the minutes be approved as circulated.
Second.
Okay? Any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Motion to approve this agenda for January 10th, 2019 Planning Commission meeting agenda.
So move.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
The agenda's approved. All right, now, under the old business, I just want to ask a question. These are just standing items, so we're going to repeat them. There's nothing to discuss on it at this point.
That is
We know
correct,
of.
unless
Okay.
a commissioner has a question or.
Isn't there a time frame on them? In other words, does it
The first
stay
one-
there forever?
Mr. Campbell's, Mr. Campbell,
The rezone request.
a rezone request for Mr. Francis was started in April of last year, so April of this year. It will roll off each year.
Okay. So the first item is the rezone request, West Kingston Springs Road, map 96K, Group D, parcel 56. That's the Indian Point Partners. No discussion on it? Any discussion or questions?
They're in the process of doing it, right? That's McPherson.
No,
No, this is Carl.
This is Mr.
Oh, okay,
Francis.
yeah.
Run 8.
Okay, so item B is the proposed redevelopment,
96.
East Kingston Springs Road, and that's the McPherson site.
Progress report, Mr. McPherson submitted his excavation and grading plan last week. We had a meeting with the engineer that works directly for Mr. McPherson and also with the geotechnical engineer in John's office. We visited for about an hour. We have worked through the remediation plan. It is in place. It has very specific perimeters that were issued to Mr. McPherson in writing. He acknowledged those today. A letter will go out tomorrow with a permit reiterating the ground rules for the remediation of notice of violation. Attached to the permit is his tear sheet C.1.02. That is the violation correction sheet. The plan is to lift and excavate 8 feet of soil over the entire site where it's been deposited. That soil will then be sifted and separated into suitable and non-suitable fill because it contains a fair amount of construction debris, as we heard from the board reports. The unsuitable fill will be separated. We have given them permission to locate a container that can be hooked to a truck for haul out of sight of the road. No dirt can be deposited where it can be visible from any corridor. The suitable soil will then be stockpiled. We will inspect each lift before the container leaves to make sure that the soil has been properly separated, the rocks properly separated, and there are no unsuitable materials in any of the soil that remains behind. They will then proceed with the compacting, one section at a time. We gridded that out, told them which areas they can start in so we don't create a runoff or erosion issue. While we're going, that will be compacted to the 95% engineering standard compaction, which is suitable for development. We have separated the violation from the development issue completely. There's nothing in progress for development until he has reached sufficient progress that we can get a stable site plan before he submits anything for development purposes. That's where we are.
Sounds good. Can I ask about Thornton's? They've started.
They purchased the property. They have submitted a commercial building permit application. There are a couple of things that are outstanding, pieces of paperwork that they need to gather for that application. But they plan, they do have a demo permit in place, and they plan to demolish the buildings on the site starting the 1st of next week.
And the one across the street?
The one across the street, we have received building plans and a commercial building application from them. Those plans have been reviewed and returned to the applicant with notes. That was a week or so ago, and I've not heard anything since.
Our inspector's going to be on top of it.
Yes, sir.
The one across the street you're referring to, the old BP?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other questions under old business? Okay, so on to new business, project concept discussion, 173 and 177 Lyman Hills Road, parcels 69 and 86.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you might remember, the Chandlers purchased these 2 lots about almost 2 years ago now, and we're going to construct Sweet Teas, the location is now downtown, on that property. After they purchased it, they did a lot of clearing. They ran into an obstacle with provision of water to the property because the water is only located on the other side of the road. They cleared it, did a lot of cleaning up, and put it on the market for sale. This young man, who will ask to introduce himself in a minute, has purchased the property. And I will allow him to elaborate on what I'm going to tell you. He operates a business currently in Davidson County. He lives here with his wife in Kingston Springs. They want to relocate that business here. The nature of what he does, and I had a meeting with him and the realtor for the Chandlers at their request to have a conversation with this young man for his proposed plans for the future. As I understand it, he does metal fabrication, ornamental signs. Clients don't come to his business. He does the work there. He doesn't manufacture the metal. He simply makes ornamental metal. It falls within our C2 zone, and if you will think back, the Chandlers rezoned the property for the purposes of Sweet Tea before they elected to move downtown, so it's now a C2 property, which brings me to another brief comment. We need to ask the county, if John, just make a note to ask the county why the zoning maps are not being updated for all the jurisdictions after a rezone now. That used to be done by Austin P. It's not being done. But it leads to confusion when people look at the viewer of the map for the zoning layer.
City
So,
attorney.
pardon?
Said like the city attorney when I looked at it, I had it wrong, so.
Exactly. That used to be done on a monthly basis. They would drop off a disc to update. They don't do that anymore. We would like to know why they're not doing it, because we're still under contract with them. But I will ask him to stand if he would like, and just, his plans are, as I understand it, in 2020,
Yes.
in 2020 to move forward with that. And with that, I'll turn, if it's okay with the chair.
Yeah, please go ahead.
All right, everybody. My name is Andrew Farron. I run Farron Ironworks. I've been in business for about 15 years now. 8 years in Nashville, about the 6 or so, from Mountain Scrape, whatever, in Wilson County. And basically, we've just been, slowly but surely trying to get myself back out a little bit more rural, because that's where I grew up. That's kind of where I want to be. What I do is basically ornamental iron work, but not like heavy-duty ornamental iron. We do a lot of blacksmithing and fabrication, things of that nature. All the metals, brass, copper, zinc, steel, stainless steel. It's all the fancy stuff you see in restaurants and bars and residential places, like custom hoods over kitchens and things like that, along with a lot of sculpture that we do. So for the most part, it's not super heavy-duty stuff, but it is light manufacturing, I guess you would call it. And honestly, I'm just super excited to be. I mean, this is the place we like to be, so it's good to be here.
Will you construct a building there?
Yes, sir. Yes, we're we're moving forward right now with plans, trying to get things set up for that. Right now it's 3 acres, and we intend to be up on the hill just a little bit. But obviously, I need to meet with everybody. This is very new. We just closed on the property on the 28th of December. So right now, I'm just trying to get everything, all my ducks in a row.
Can I see your shirt? It's your logo, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's his logo. I took the liberty of checking in the locations where Andrew has worked, and what he does is ornamental cutting and work and welding. His reputation appears to be really, really good with his clients. They don't have a lot of foot traffic or car traffic to their site. They mostly visit locations, determine what the client wants. They do a concept drawing, fabricate it at the shop, and then take it, deliver it, and install it. So there won't be a great deal of traffic that will be contributed to the corridor, which is kind of a bonus for us.
So there's
It
a
does
show
fall
there.
within light manufacturing in the APA definition of light manufacturing, which is allowable in our C2 zone. So once he determines what he wants to do, he'll submit plans and we'll review them and bring them to you.
So it's purely custom, there's no showroom or anything like that?
No, I mean, there has been some thought on that,
Yeah.
but to be honest with you, I'm not somebody who really likes to have somebody on staff just to show people around. For the most part, it's a shop, but I'm sure I'll have a little place for people to come in and have coffee and stuff. I mean, it's kind of, hopefully we can kind of move in that direction, but nothing like, I don't intend to have people there every day just to do stuff, you know what I mean? Other than us working.
Furnaces and forging operations and this sort of thing.
Yes, sir.
And you plan just to have business, no residential, correct? You don't plan?
Yes, sir. It's just business.
You have to come visit us. We have a shop here.
Excellent. Where are you located?
Highway 70.
Oh, the big one over there by the canoe place?
Yeah, we're not actually that big. It's just a big building.
Oh, okay.
Little company, big building.
I'd love to drop in. That'd be awesome. Heck yeah. I'd love to drop in. That'd be great.
Yeah, drop in anytime. We're there every day.
Love that.
Okay. Well, thank you. Are there any other questions?
Sounds good to me.
I look forward to hearing more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Lost my place.
Community-wide.
All right. Community-wide planning initiative discussion.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, would it be appropriate if the ECD director for the county has anything he'd like to share with us, to ask him to do that first and maybe set mine to the rear?
Sure.
That'd be great.
Is there anything? Yeah.
For the ones I haven't met, Jerome Terrell, I go by JT, I'm your Economic Development Director for the county, and I just wanted to give you a quick, I'll be brief, Tony, I saw you run through that stuff, so I'm gonna be brief. But I wanted to give you kind of an update of how we did in 2018, and then sort of some directions for 2019, and this mainly just to get some ideas out there from you guys on what your expectations would be, and know that that's where you can call me and tell me want or don't want, and those kind of things. And I'm very much in tune with that. I moved here because of the hills and the rivers and fishing, and I forgot that Tony was here. I might have changed my mind, but just want to give you an update. If you look across the bottom there, those are the projects that have landed this year. Everything is final with the exception of the Port of Cheatham County, and they're waiting on the permitting process with the Corps of Engineers, and they've done all their final stuff, so we think that that's going to probably hit too. But everything else has either been closed or already announced and going. So 750 jobs, 82 million in capital investment, and then the payroll numbers there that you see. So it's been a very good year, 2018. In 2019, I've kind of written down some things that I think that kind of focus on. Existing industry is certainly one of them. We've got some things that we are planning on doing coming up on April the 9th, and you'll get some information about this for your shop if you want. Workforce information, because that seems to be the issue today with most everywhere, not just the Middle Tennessee areas, finding qualified people or finding people to work. So we've got the state of Tennessee and some other folks. We're going to put together a nice meeting to try to help out with the directions that people are taking on that. The Chamber of Commerce has got their annual kickoff event. I think it's a week from tomorrow. If you have been invited, if you hadn't, make sure that the Chamber wanted me to tell you that. And then that's kind of it for this part right now. I do have, and I'll remind folks that the county has a pilot program, which is a payment in lieu of tax for industries that are existing, that might be growing, or new industry coming in. When I say industry, business, period. It doesn't cover retail, but it would cover his business as an example. So if he's investing $250,000 or more, and it meets the criteria for everything else, he could get a tax abatement for his business being in the county for 2 years, 3 years, or whatever the measure would be. So I gave him a copy of that because we want our businesses here to be successful. We want them to be the right type. We want them to grow. We want them to provide jobs, and so we're doing our part to make sure that we can do that. With that, how'd I do, Tony?
Great.
You don't have
Any
Thorntons
questions?
down there. You don't have Thorntons.
Thorntons? No, I don't. I don't have that on there, and I need to put that on there. But I did get a call today from a company that represents a segment of the retail industry, and they're very interested in the exit here. We talked about it a good while, so I'm not sure where it's going to go. They asked me to be confidential. They've got some investors that's looking at some of that.
I need a Waffle House as well.
That's, everybody wants a Waffle House. I've never seen anything like it. Any questions or anything?
Carolyn's mother.
I have an observation, if I might, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
For the Economic Development Director, would it be helpful to you if commercial and industrial developments that are ongoing in Kingston Springs were relayed to you through maybe the JECD contact?
Yes.
So that you would have an idea when a Thorntons comes to town, or when the land opens, or when Andrew's business.
Yes. Absolutely.
I think that we're kind of, over the past decade, slowly sliding back to that divisional river that we used to have, where things don't cross the great divide of the river. So if that would be productive, I think John and I would be willing.
JT and I stay in pretty constant communication.
And John told me about the Thorntons. I just wasn't sure if it was what day it was on that.
So it would be something that can be done easily through the JC. Not only that, but residential developments that are underway, because they do have an impact on our schools, also our workforce needs in other areas.
Oh, and let me mention a little bit too, I forgot, I'm glad you said schools. Pilot program does exempt the education portion of the property tax. It's real and personal, so that is not included now in this. It originally was set up to cover blanket that, and I think in August or so, was that right, Jennifer? We changed that, so we are covering, that's 39% of the property tax, so that is still being covered on that. We felt like that was a really good positive move, so thank you. I would love to get information, and I'll be glad to share, but
well, that program just impacts county taxes.
County tax, that's correct, that's it. Thank you.
Well, I just,
No, that's good.
All right.
Any questions or anything else?
Okay.
Thank you,
sir.
Appreciate it.
And sir, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting if you want, but if you'd like to get home, you can do that too.
I might if you guys are done with me. You mind if I shake y'all's hand?
All right.
thank you.
John Hollis.
I'll come get a cup of coffee. You guys?
Thank you so much. Keep all good. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Okay, appreciate it.
Jerome, I was here when there was close cooperation between the north side and down here. It really was. And
So here they pause.
it's gone to hell in a handcart, it seems like.
We're digging it back up.
I'm glad to see that.
Okay, so the community-wide planning initiative.
Community-wide planning initiative came up a couple of months ago. We had discussed that the land use plan is now right for updating. It was done the last time in 2007 and finished. So we held those meetings, and the people that were here before remember in the Methodist Church because we had a large crowd attend. And it's time to start that process again. And it would be helpful to incorporate Jerome's perspective and a number of other perspectives in the plan this time because it was a base plan the first round for Blue Star. So with that as well, John and I are going to begin deciphering the zoning book. It's been amended to the point that it's almost insensible in places. That will in turn somewhat inform the subdivision regulations. If you update the zoning book, it translates over. So we wanted to let you know that that initiative will start. We'll start to get with everybody's schedules and attempt.
Planning Commission.
Planning
Planning
Commission.
Commission meeting.
Not open in public?
Yeah.
It is open to public.
Everything's open to the public.
Sorry, first time.
But that process we hope to begin in February with public meetings to gather public input. I've always found that plans are certainly better drafted if you have input from the public. Sometimes they point out things that you could do better. Sometimes they give you ideas you hadn't thought of. It was very productive the last time that we did it, having those meetings in the church. We'll ask permission to do that again because it's a large area. And that's all I had on that.
Will we have the same facilitator that we had last time?
I think you're referring to AIA, that
Right.
process that was held at the high school.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was a much broader perspective, and that was done as a result of a grant that Marion Fultz secured.
Okay.
The land use plan, Mr. Patno, began the year before that,
Okay.
and it was a community-driven initiative that
Mhm.
was somewhat fueled by the state's desire to certify everybody with 3-star. But I want to take that planning initiative one step further, rather than just looking at the requirements to maintain a 3-star certification. I want to continue what we've been doing with looking at PUD areas, and vacant areas, and what appropriate development looks like. And a portion of that is looking at the zoning book and kind of cleaning it up.
Mhm.
And John and I began working on that. But we also should have any community planning initiative is a public
Right, so would you
process.
be leading the process?
Yes,
I guess
we would.
I just wanted to know if somebody who knew what they were doing was
That's
leading the
correct.
process.
John and I will facilitate if it's a legal
You.
question.
Because
Jennifer
I don't
will be
know.
on board. But yes.
All right, okay, well, good.
Planning department takes care of those
Well,
little things.
you know, one of the things I'm anxious to see, we all sit around and talk, if somebody wanted to locate a grocery store, things like that. It just, we don't really know where things ought to go, why. We're not really in position to tell Jerome, here's what we're looking for, and here's the spot we want to put it.
Is that something that might be useful to have Jerome participate as well?
It will. Part of, if the planning process is correctly done, it looks at infrastructure, it looks at schools, it looks at potential for development and sites that are somewhat ripe for development. It looks at transportation, it looks at healthcare, it looks at everything. It's a holistic look at your community. And when that plan is done, and while it's going on, it would be really helpful if other entities had joined us, and if the healthcare community, and they come in and out of the process as their input is needed. They don't come to every meeting. So we call them resident or technical experts, and they slide in and out of the process as their needs are as their presence is required. And from Jerome's perspective, knowing that you have parcels overlaid with a PUD that are ripe for development where infrastructure's been improved for another project certainly helps you to market that property. And it's one way of communicating that on a community level rather than an individual project.
We'll be
Does
able
that
to
make
tell them
sense?
where we want the Waffle House.
Yes.
Right behind the hotel.
That worked for me.
Okay. All right, so is that all you have on that?
all I had.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. The other thing is, John, you wanted to talk about making sure everybody had the statement of interest.
If you have not filed your 8005 statement of interests form, then please do so by the 29th of this month. That's it.
Okay?
That's it.
All right.
It's easy to do it online.
Anything else? Any other
Move we
business?
adjourn.
All right. We have a move and second. Is there something else?
No.
Okay.
No,
Okay, so the meeting's adjourned.